Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about setting up Python virtual environments on our system. Before we talk about that, let's just think about the need for these virtual environments. So, at any point in time, you may be working on more than one project related to Python, and those projects may have different Python version requirements. Also, there could be scenarios where you may need to install different third-party tools for different projects, and each of those projects may have different version requirements for those tools. So with the help of these virtual environments, we can create these isolated environment in such a way that you can run your one project in that environment, and the binaries or any third-party tools that you install for that project will not impact your other projects because that project would be running on its own virtual environment. So let's just see how we can create these virtual environments in Python and how to integrate them with VS Code. Okay, so I have logged into my Linux machine and let's switch to our working directory. So currently I don't have anything under this directory. Let me create a demo project. So let's say this is the demo project and we want to create a Python code within this project, and we want to also create a virtual environment for this project. So first thing that we would need to do is we need to decide which version of Python we need to use. And let's say for the sake of this example, I want to use Python 3.8. So currently, if you see under my working directory, there is nothing. So in order to create a virtual environment, what you have to do is you have to use this command. It's called Python, whatever the Python version you want to build. So let's say, for example, if I want to check if I have Python 3.8 on my system. So yes, I do have Python 3.8 on my system, and I want to use this Python 3.8 to create a virtual environment. So what I'll do is I'll just run Python 3.8 or whatever the Python you want to run with a flag called -m. And then we'll just say, okay, I want to create a virtual environment and the directory where you want to create your virtual environment. So let's say I say demo env. So as soon as I do that, Python is going to create a virtual environment for me under this directory called demo env. Now if I do ls-la now, you would see that we got a demo env directory created. And if you want, we can also look inside this, and it contains lots of subfolders that are needed by Linux. Needed by Python to run an application. So this itself creates a isolated environment for us. And now if I again do which Python 3. So currently my system is using user bin Python, which is the default Python for all the user who logs in to the system. So now let's say I want to now start I want to start using that virtual environment that we just created. So you would notice that under, so let me just clear my screen. If I just go to bin directory, so let's say I go to demo env and bin directory, you would notice that we have a file called activate. So we need to just source this file in order for us to start using that virtual environment. So all you have to do is just use source and then the relative path of this file. So it's under demo env folder that we created. And as soon as I sourced it, you would notice I'm inside that demo environment. Now if I do which Python, I've actually the Python 3 for me is now different. So it has changed the Python 3 version for me. Rather than pointing at the user bin directory, now we are getting pointed to this virtual environment. Now in this virtual environment, we can use pip to install multiple third-party tools, and those installations will not impact your other projects or your actual machine's environment. So for example, let's say if I want to install Flask, all I have to do is do pip install Flask. And now in this case, the Flask will be installed in this virtual environment where we are currently working at. So now this has installed Flask for me. And if I just say pip list, I want to see what are the tools installed on my system in this virtual environment. So now I got Flask 2.32 installed. Now let me switch my terminal to the main machine back. And here, if I start typing which Python, I'm still using Python 3, which is under user bin. And if I just say pip list grep Flask, I don't get anything. So that means the pip installation that we just did was under the virtual environment that we just got, we created, and it has not impacted the other directory or other main Python installation. You can also look at those files and directories under lib folder. So if you navigate to your demo environment lib folder, you would see lots of Python 3 related side packages. And all of these, for example, if you see here, we just installed Flask. All of these does get installed or pushed into this directory. So this way, we can now start using this virtual environment. We can play around with it. Next, let us see how we can configure VS Studio Code to start using this virtual environment for us. Now, as you can see, I've opened VS Studio Code, and I'm in that same directory that we created earlier called demo project. I do see my virtual environment subdirectory also created with all those bin directories and lib files that we looked at earlier. And your code would reside in the same directory where you would be working on. So in order for you to start pointing Visual Studio Code to that virtual environment, all you have to do is just type Control-Shift-P. I'm on a Windows system, and for equivalent command you can run for Mac. And all you have to do is select on Python select interpreter. And here you would notice it would give you different options. If you have multiple Python installed on your system, you'll get them options as an option here, and then you'll select the demo env that we just created. And if I now do which Java here in the terminal, which Python in the terminal, we are using that virtual environment, right? And also we can do pip list, and we do see all those packages that we had in the virtual environment. So this way we can start developing our code by using VS Code within a virtual environment. Next, we will talk about how do we share this configuration with other developers. So let's say someone else also is working on the same project and they need similar kind of configuration that you have in your virtual environment. How do we achieve that? In order to share your code with other developers, and if they want to copy your configuration, you can use Python pip freeze command. So you can just say pip freeze. This would give you list of all the dependencies that you have installed in your virtual environment. You can pipe it out or send it to a file called you can call it anything you want, but let's say we call it requirements.txt. As soon as you pip it out, or you put it out, the configurations or the dependencies and their versions would be listed in this requirement.txt file. And then you can share this text file with your counterpart, and they can install the same packages using pip. Similar to following. So pip install -r requirement.txt. And that way pip will already, in our case, we have already installed these packages, but they would be able to create a similar kind of environment that you have for your project. So that was a short video about virtual environments in Python. I hope you found it useful. Please consider liking and subscribing to this channel. See you next time. Bye.